Today we're going to have a look at what I think is a beautiful pen, and I'm very enthusiastic about it because I've been eyeing these for a long time, and on Instagram you see a lot of pictures whizzed by and I loved it. I immediately loved it. So this pen is on loan to me from Salvatore, who makes them. Leonardo Pens is his brand. This is the acrylic version of the pen. There's a couple of acrylics. There's also a couple of celluloids. The celluloids are a lot more expensive, relatively speaking. The acrylics are a bit more affordable, relatively speaking. They're also not limited, whereas the celluloids are. The celluloids are piston fillers with 14K gold nibs. The acrylics are Cartridge Converter filled pens with steel nibs, and as I said, not limited. So the price goes down a bit, but I just think this is a stunning material. So I'm going to cover the parts of the pen, I'll do a writing sample, I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, but first of all, before we do anything else, look at this material. Look at it. That is stunning. I absolutely love this acrylic. This reminds me of Van Gogh, right? Van Gogh. He had this weird swirly painting style, and he used that mainly for his blue skies and such, with the weird curls. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this doesn't make any sense, but if you do, this is exactly what it looks like. So I think that's very, very cool, and I absolutely love it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's look at the pen. Okay, so here we go with this beautiful Leonardo pen. Let's first have a look at the box. So, just a little bit of background on the pens. These are hand-turned from a solid rod of resin in Italy. They are Cartridge Converter. They have a steel nib. They are numbered, but in principle not limited. At some point they'll stop making them, but it's not a preset limited edition. The celluloid versions of the pen are limited to 100 pieces, and of course numbered. These resin ones, or the acrylic ones, they are numbered but not limited. Finer medium nib, and that's it. Okay, so let's look at the box. I like this logo, Leonardo, it's nice, Leonardo Officina Italiana. You can open up the cardboard box, or actually the sleeve, I should say. Out comes the box. In the box is the little pen sleeve, and there is a little card that explains that your pen is made by hand from a solid bar, and it's guaranteed for life. Lifelong warranty. That is not bad at all, because a lot of companies don't offer that anymore. Fits very snugly in the box, but I like the pens out of the box. Okay, let's look at the pen then. Before we do anything else, let's see this in relationship to another pen of known size. You can see, here's a Lamy Safari, you can see that this is not a small pen. It's also not a giant oversize. I mean, it could be a lot worse. So it's a nice size, I think, for many people, and I really like that. Okay, cover the parts of the pen. Top of the cap, the finial, same material as the cap. I really like that. Then we have this nice clip with a little wheel. Works well. Here's a Nocco case. You lift up the clip just a tiny bit. Slides in really easily, and once it's in, it's very easy to move around because of the wheel. So that's actually a nice design feature, and one you see on more Italian pens. The beautiful cap material, I really like it. Then we have two gold bands, and then a third one on the barrel. So these are on the cap, that's on the barrel. The cap has no inscriptions or information. The barrel tapers down to this blind cap. I'll come back to that in a second. And here's the blind engraving that says Leonardo Officina Italiana number 365. As I said, it's numbered, but in principle not limited, so you could call this limited production. At some point they will stop making these, I assume, but it's not a preset number of pens. The cap unscrews, and the nice thing is it's not a lot of turns. It's about one full turn, so that's quite nice. I hate it when you have to spend a minute to twist a cap. Section, simple, threads there, tapers down, and then is a straight little cylinder. And when I saw that, I thought, I don't really know if that's very comfortable. Guess what? It's very comfortable. I really find this a very pleasant pen to hold. It's comfortable, it's a nice size. If you want to, you can post it securely, it becomes a bit bigger. If you have really massive hands, that could be convenient, but I don't have the world's smallest hands. I find it comfortable enough to use unposted, but of course up to you. nib looks like gold, is steel, harmonic steel they call it. Leonardo Officina Italiana is on the nib with their logo, and the F, as I understand it, this is fine or medium for these pens. The celluloid pens are supposed to be fine, medium, broad, stub, and extra fine by request. So you have fine or medium. This is fine, and it's definitely an okay nib. I've not really had any real issues with it. Okay, filling mechanism, interesting. The first time I inked up the pen, I just did the standard thing, which is you unscrew the section, you put this in the bottle of ink, and you use this converter. And then I thought, that's a very interesting converter. Why does it look so interesting? It has Leonardo engraved on there. It looks nice, but why is this all smooth metal? It was later by accident that I realized that this is an old-fashioned blind cap. So another way to ink it up, and then the converter matches the trim of the pen because it's all gold colored, you just dip the whole thing in the ink and you just operate the converter by twisting this little knob, which is a nice, neat, old-fashioned system, which I really like. It looks very cool and it works well. Okay, sorry, a little cough there. Let's have a look at the writing experience. So here we have the Leonardo Momento Zero Positano. Positano is a coastal town in Italy. Look it up on Google. You find some nice pictures and then you understand why it's called this. It's at the sea color. The nib is fine. The ink is Akkerman Diep Duinwater. Oh god, horrid writing. Blauw, so that's Akkerman number 8, Deep Dune Water Blue. Writing is quite pleasant. There is some feedback as you write, but it's not scratchiness. It's just a bit of feedback, fountain pen type feedback. It is a fine nib. There's not a whole lot of tipping, so it's just not that much to polish, but it runs nicely. One thing I forgot to say, by the way, these pens have plastic feeds. I think it's ABS actually. And not ebonite. The limited editions, which have 14K nib, have an ebonite feed, have a piston filler, etc. They're also a lot more expensive. So there is that. Wetness. Okay, just let that dry out a little bit. It was a bit of a hard start. I have found occasional hard starts with this nib, especially on smooth paper. As you can see, this is not a gusher of a pen, but I think it's pretty nicely tuned. Always very careful. You can squeeze out a little bit of line variation, but be careful. Okay, then finally there is the reverse writing, which does actually work. It is actually very smooth, and the pen definitely goes from a fine to an extra fine. So if you like such a thing, you can definitely make your nib a bit finer. Okay, let's see what I like about it and what I not like about it. Okay, what do I like, what do I not like about this Leonardo Momento Zero Positano in the resin? Well, I'll be fair, there's a lot about this pen that I really like. The material, in my mind, is beautiful. I know there's a lot of very attractive resins out there, or acrylics out there now. Some, one more beautiful than the other, but this one, for some reason, really resonates well with me. The beautiful turquoise, and I mean, from a distance, it's just a turquoise pen, but then when you get really close, you see those beautiful swirls. I love it. The gold trim works perfectly well with this material. It's just a great combination. I really, really like that. It's a comfortable pen. I saw this section, I wasn't sure about it, but I'll tell you, it's comfortable. The threads, not even particularly sharp, but you are far enough away from them. Great writer, lovely size. I think this will appeal to many people. Larger hands, smaller hands, I think everyone can use it, whether it's posted or unposted. works really, really well. So I think that's just great. Furthermore, cartridge converter. People often want piston fillers. If you want that, get the limited edition. That is a piston filler. It's a lot more expensive, but it is a piston filler if that's really necessary for you. The great advantage of a cartridge converter is easy to clean, and you just open up the pen. Now, the interesting thing with this design, this blind cap design, is of course there's no ink window, so you can't really, if you only had this, no way of telling how much ink you have left. But the fun thing is you don't only have that, right? You can just quickly open up the section as you do with any cartridge converter filled pen and see how much ink you have left. And they're so easy to clean. This will clean out a lot easier than this, I can tell you. Because you just take out the converter. If you have a syringe, fill it with water, squish it, what do you call it, squish it through, flush it through, and in a minute your converter is clean, and then it's just the nib, which you can wash under the tap if you don't want to do anything else. So I mean, it's really quite easy, and that is something I do really appreciate about cartridge converter filled pens. Okay, we have to talk about the price, but I just wanted to mention the things I don't necessarily like so much. This model has a plastic feed. The limited edition has an ebonite feed. Many people prefer ebonite for feeds because it has very good flow properties. The ink flows through it very, very well, often better than plastic. But to be honest, I haven't really had flow issues with this pen. It doesn't really run dry or anything. The only thing it does have the occasional skip, but that is a function more of the grinding of the nib than it is of the feed, so I won't really worry about that in this context. That's the second thing. A little bit of a hard start once in a while, especially on cheaper paper. That is something I would like to not see, right? You want the pen to always write. To be fair, it is not terrible. I have seen pens that perform a lot worse. It's just the occasional skip. It's not a hard start every single time you put it to paper. It's occasional. And it's definitely something a nibmeister could fix, but of course, in an ideal world, we would have pens that wrote greatly, really well out of the box, right? Price. First, sip of water. Sorry. Price. I don't think this price is terrible. It's about 148 euros including VAT, but I shopped around a little bit. If you remove the VAT, you're looking at about $140. I see a lot of acrylic pens like this, acrylic steel nib cartridge converter from US companies for 160 and up. So with VAT, European VAT, this would be more than that, but without it, if you happen to be in the US, Canada, other parts of the world, etc., you would actually get it for about 140 bucks at the time I'm shooting this, which I don't think is that bad. To be honest, even 148 euros for this, I don't think it's terrible. I recently reviewed the Fred Fagionato Petrarch King size, which is a celluloid pen, also steel nib, also cartridge converter. It is celluloid, but I think it's a rolled celluloid, not a solid rod they turn it from. And that pen's 190 euros, and it's 148. So I really don't think the pricing is that bad, also given what you get. The nib is more than adequate, I find. Yes, there is the occasional skip, but overall it wrote pretty well. But you also get this stellar material. And there's a couple of finishes to choose from if you don't like this, but definitely this would be my choice. So there is that. So what's the bottom line? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's an affordable pen, at least relatively, right? Relatively affordable, I should say. And it's beautiful. All I want a pen that I can afford and that I can write with and that's comfortable to use. And this pen is all of that. So there you have it, Salvatore. Thanks a lot for lending me the pen. I really appreciate it. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.